You know, whatever we do, usually we have some type of an idea of a plan. Maybe it's something we haven't done a lot of before, and our plan isn't, I guess you'd say, very well educated. But then there's also the situation to where we have something that didn't go exactly right. We start off with a good plan, but then if something doesn't go right, it's kind of like, oh, well, nobody's hurt, let's get it cleaned up, we'll go from there. But if we really have a plan to begin with, and we come back and reevaluate what worked, what didn't, then we're able to really get better at what we do.
Welcome, Tim Art here. In just a few days, January 16th, we're going to be starting up our first online Zoom workshop for chainsaw safety and applications. We've got a 2-hour presentation set up, and I just wanted to kind of give you some highlights on that to see if it might be something that you or your group or some of your people might want to participate in. We welcome you to sit back and discuss a little bit of what is chainsaw training.
I wanted to share with you one little story, probably the late 80s, early 90s. I was asked to do a presentation in North Carolina, and it was about personal protective equipment in the logging industry. It was a workshop that was being held at a community college, and it all really got me started on two questions that I often ask, and that is, what is an accident? And then what is safety?
What is an accident? And that's one of the first things we'll start off with, discussing a little bit about what is an accident? How do they happen? And what's the best thing we can do to kind of prevent those from taking place? Next is we're going to cover through some personal protective equipment. What's important for a chainsaw operator? How do we think about protecting ourselves and making sure that we're set to go, because that's our first form of defense after a good planning process. Struck bys, the number one injury.
I've come across some interesting stories of struck bys over the years, but one recently is from a very competent chainsaw trainer, certified arborist, and HUSQVARNA representative, David Breeden.
Lead protection is something that, how it works, be able to give you some reaction time should the chainsaw come in contact with you. They work off of what we call jamming. Jams the chainsaw. You can see here that chain went into it full speed, didn't cut through at all. But head protection, eye protection, hearing, hand protection, leg protection. Then we're going to talk about saw chain, the heart of chainsaws. There's no doubt. It doesn't make any difference what size saw you have. If it's not sharp and properly adjusted, it's not going to cut correctly. The 5 parts of saw chain to give you a basis to work with, and then look at also sharpening on our work table behind me. The depth gauge, the point, the side plate, the top angles, chisel angle, all of those are important to understand how that tooth works. Then we're going to discuss a little bit on reactive forces, stance, and how we hold the saw, move with it, balance, so that we can be able to work safely with it. Reactive forces that a lot of times people don't understand. They hear about kickback. There's actually 2 others. Then in a reduced downtime maintenance system. And that we're going to do on the workbench here behind, looking at safety features, sharpening, guide bar cleaning, chain tensioning, the starter rope, making sure everything is good there, a little bit on starting the chainsaw. Throttle interlocks, chain catches, anti-vibration, chain brakes, reduced kick saw chain, reduced kick guide bars are all part of the safety system on the saw. Planning processes, felling, or on the West they call it falling a tree, and then bucking and limbing, whether you're using it for storm cleanup or for firewood. Planning of hazards and obstacles, leans, escape route, hinge size, and how to back cut. We'll be looking at putting together the plan, obstacles and hazards, and ending up with a complete plan to be able to work that tree. Height measure, something a lot of people don't think about. Can that tree or that limb hit an object? Side lean and forward to back lean. How do we take that information? Where that tree is actually going to be placed? Escape routes. Where do you go? What do you look for? Looking at the hinge size, how the hinge works, how the back cut applies it. Bucking and limbing a down tree. And that's thinking about how do we approach that from the standpoint of planning processes. What's compression? What's tension? Spring poles, as well as just limbing trees for firewood.
Two different kinds of spring poles. There's big ones and little ones.
So all of those things are part of our discussions. We get into question and answer. What about fuel ratios? What about mixtures? What about adjustments on the saws? All of these things we go through as we're looking at really total applications and safety of the chainsaw. You can sign up for the program on January the 16th. And up to then, you can go to our e-store at forestappsmyshopify.com or send me a message at info@forestapps.com, or you check out our links off of our website at www.forestapps.com. For the 2-hour chainsaw safety workshop, cost on this first one is $25 for the entire course. We hope to see you at this workshop. Good sawing to you.